You just introduced yourself to someone, had a perfectly normal conversation, and 30 seconds later, you're standing there knowing everything about their job, their weekend plans, and their opinion on coffee shops. But their name has completely vanished from your brain like it was never spoken. If this is your regular experience, there's a specific psychological pattern happening in your mind that has nothing to do with your memory being broken. But here's what's actually happening when your brain does this selective deletion trick. Your mind isn't randomly discarding information, it's making split second decisions about what deserves your mental real estate based on something psychologists call cognitive load theory. When you meet someone new, your brain is simultaneously processing their facial expressions, tone of voice, body language, the social context, what you should say next, and whether you're making a good impression. Names, ironically, get treated as the least important piece of this puzzle. Research suggests that our brains have limited conscious processing capacity, and conversations require a significant portion of our available mental bandwidth. Add in social anxiety, even mild nervousness about first impressions, and your available mental bandwidth drops even further. Your brain literally runs out of space to encode their name into long term memory because it's too busy managing everything else about the interaction. This is why you remember they're a graphic designer who loves hiking, but not that they're named Sarah. Job information and personal details get processed in your brain's pattern recognition system, which is ancient and powerful. Names go through your phonological loop, which is much more fragile and gets overwhelmed easily. You're not forgetting names because you don't care about people. You're forgetting them because you care too much about everything else happening in the moment. But there's another layer to this that reveals something deeper about your personality type. The people who consistently struggle with name retention share a fascinating psychological trait. They're what researchers call high empathy processors. Research suggests that individuals who score higher on empathy assessments may show different patterns of brain activity during social interactions, which means their brains are working overtime to read and respond to other people's emotional states. If you're constantly forgetting names, there's a good chance you're the person who notices when someone seems tired, picks up on awkward social dynamics immediately, or finds yourself adjusting your communication style mid conversation based on how the other person is responding. Your brain is so busy running this sophisticated social analysis that names become collateral damage. Think about your last networking event or party. While other people were collecting business cards and remembering names like a filing system, you were probably the one who noticed that the person in the corner looked uncomfortable, sensed the shift in energy when certain topics came up, or found yourself naturally gravitating toward people who seemed like they needed someone to talk to. This isn't coincidence, it's your neural wiring prioritizing emotional intelligence over data collection. The irony is that forgetting someone's name often makes you feel socially incompetent when actually your brain is performing incredibly sophisticated social calculations that many people can't even access. You're not failing at basic social skills. You're operating with a completely different social operating system. But this empathy driven processing creates a specific vulnerability that most people don't realize they have. Here's the psychological trap that catches high empathy processors every single time. You become so attuned to other people's emotional needs that you start unconsciously scanning for rejection signals, which creates what psychologists call threat detection overload. Your brain, already maxed out from reading social cues, now has to simultaneously monitor whether this new person likes you, approves of you, or is judging you negatively. Dr. Matthew Lieberman's research at UCLA has shown that the anterior cingulate cortex is involved in detecting social pain and rejection. Your brain is literally treating every introduction like a potential threat assessment. While you're shaking hands and making small talk, your subconscious is running complex calculations. Do they seem annoyed? Are they trying to end this conversation? Did I say something wrong? Are they more important than me? This threat detection system is so demanding that it hijacks the exact neural pathways responsible for memory consolidation. It's like trying to save a document on your computer while running too many programs. Something's going to crash, and unfortunately, it's usually their name. You'll remember every micro expression that crossed their face, the exact moment their body language shifted, and whether their laugh sounded genuine, but their name never makes it past your brain's security checkpoint. If you're nodding right now, recognizing this pattern, there's something crucial you need to understand about how this affects your self perception. Most people think this makes them socially defective, but the reality is far more complex than that. When you repeatedly forget names despite remembering everything else about people, something insidious starts happening to your self concept. You begin developing what psychologists call negative self beliefs about social competence, deeply held beliefs that you're somehow failing at basic human connection. You start apologizing excessively when you can't recall someone's name, making self deprecating jokes about having a terrible memory, or avoiding social situations altogether because you're convinced you're bad at meeting new people. But here's what's actually true: you're not socially inadequate, you're socially hypervigilant. Some research suggests there may be connections between different types of social processing and memory patterns. You're not missing social information, you're drowning in it. The cruel irony is that the very trait that makes you forget names, your brain's intense focus on emotional connection and social harmony, is also what makes you a person others feel genuinely heard and understood by. People leave conversations with you feeling like you really listened, like you got them on a deeper level, even if you have to awkwardly ask their name again next week. Your brain has made an unconscious choice about what matters most in human interaction, and it's chosen depth over data, emotional resonance over factual retention. This isn't a bug in your social programming, it's a feature, but recognizing this pattern reveals something even more important about how your mind processes relationships that most people never consider. The deeper truth about your name forgetting pattern is that it reveals how your brain has unconsciously prioritized relationship quality over relationship quantity. While other people are building networks, you're building connections. When someone shares something personal with you, your mind immediately starts creating what psychologists call episodic memory clusters: rich, detailed files that include not just what they said, but how they said it, what it seemed to mean to them, and how it made you feel to hear it. This is why you can remember that your coworker mentioned feeling overwhelmed about their mother's health 3 months ago, but you still have to check their email signature for their name. Your brain has filed them under person who trusts me with vulnerable information rather than Jennifer from accounting. You're not storing people as data points, you're storing them as emotional experiences. Dr. Daniel Schachter's research at Harvard has explored connections between the hippocampus and medial prefrontal cortex in memory formation, the brain regions responsible for memory formation and emotional meaning making. Your mind is literally wired to prioritize the significance of human moments over the mechanical details of human cataloging. But here's where this gets psychologically fascinating. People who process relationships this way often struggle with imposter syndrome in professional settings because they're operating in environments that reward the exact opposite of their natural strengths. You walk into networking events feeling like you're failing at some basic social skill when actually you're just playing a completely different game than everyone else. This creates a specific type of internal conflict that most people with this pattern recognize immediately but rarely talk about. Subscribe for more psychology that explains you to yourself, and check out that video next. It goes even deeper into how your mind actually works.